We are live. How's everybody doing? Alan Roberts coming at you solo tonight for evening rants. Going to make it a hot and quick one because we've got some stuff going on here that I wanted to get to. All good, but the main one I wanted to talk about tonight is Billionaires for Kamala. Now I saw that Mark Cuban, who I actually kind of admire. I know that that's not going to be a popular thing to say amongst conservatives because he is coming out for Kamala, but he's coming out for Kamala because he is looking out for his own interests. And this is what I find very funny, right? So you don't want to vote for a billionaire. You don't want to vote for a billionaire who has other billionaire friends. But when billionaires come out and tell you to vote for somebody, you're supposedly supposed to vote for them as long as they're Democrats. Like we keep hearing the whole, pay your fair share bullshit. And the guy that's paid more in income taxes than most countries pay, Elon Musk, is apparently enemy number one because he is associated with Donald Trump. And I will entertain any aspects of the world as long as we stay in reality. But to think that the left is not demonizing Trump and demonizing Elon Musk because they're just against the left is insane. Elon Musk has done more for the things that are supposedly going to matter or used to matter to Democrats than just about anybody with the electric cars, which, by the way, I'll never own one because an electric car actually probably uses more fossil fuels than a petrol car. And the lithium mining for them is extremely, extremely bad for the environment, like extremely. I don't understand why it has to be lithium battery cars, why we couldn't possibly think about going, I don't know, to hydroelectric cars, those sorts of things, because the concept that we can't separate water into oxygen and hydrogen and then use the hydrogen to run vehicles is kind of asinine, especially when people have done it already. But it's just strange to me how Donald Trump being a billionaire is a problem, and he's an idiot, and everybody thinks he's a moron. Even though he gained like $2 billion yesterday from Truth Social stock, and somehow he's a fool and doesn't know what he's talking about. And Elon Musk, I've also seen people, saying he's an idiot, richest man in the fucking world. And people are so deluded to saying he's an idiot. Like you would much more convince me, be able to much more convince me that Elon Musk was a danger to society, especially with the fucking AI robots bullshit, than he would be a stupid person. But people on the left openly saying that Elon Musk is stupid, just kind of, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like we've reached a stage where everything is uber political, right? So I'm just going to try to break that and say that I kind of admire Mark Cuban for lots of reasons. He's doing the whole try to, get into the prescription game and everything like that by having his own prescription medical company and those sorts of things. And obviously he's made some wise investments, but let's be real. I mean, he's going to go with who he's going to be basically on his side, like he's going to look out for who he thinks he can win the most with. And I don't understand why people can't look at it this way. Like when we look at people like, oh, they're stupid, oh, they're this, oh, they're that, that is a very unintelligent thing for us to do, right? Like to think like, oh, Elon Musk is stupid. Like you're a fucking idiot. Okay. For all we know, Elon Musk has a master plan to literally take over the world. I mean, because he is a very smart person and he has a very large network, right? Now, I'm not saying this is the case. I would like to hope and think that he is for like the good of humanity. But is he for the good of humanity because that's what's best for him, or is he for the good of humanity because of anything else? And I see some people in the comments like it takes guts to lose money on Twitter in order to save free speech. Did he save free speech? Do people actually still get demonetized, or do they get suppressed on X? Because I can guarantee you that they do. I can guarantee you that people still get suppressed on X. I can guarantee it, right? I've got a few friends right now, like PDB for a while. I was like, holy shit, he's shadow banned, and he's a friend of mine and Mark's, and I thought for sure, And Twitter is way better than it was before, though, under Dorsey. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not free speech. It's not. So if it's a free speech absolutist, wouldn't it be free speech absolution? Just saying. Like my thing is, we shouldn't. There's not one billionaire that should be truly trusted, because they're billionaires. So I get what you're saying, but there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't change, right? And also, I worry about the pendulum swinging the other way too far, because I am in the middle. I am the only reason why people like the left assumes I'm some sort of alt-right conservative is because I want freedom and shit. But even with X, I want the freedom to be able to say whatever I want and not get suppressed, and that happens a lot. It happens a lot to a lot of people. So it's just a thing that people need to keep in mind. Am I saying Elon Musk is the bad guy? Absolutely not. I'm not. I don't know. But I'm saying we would be stupid to trust these people who can make billions of dollars if things shift the other way. They're in a position to alter their future and and make billions, if not $1 trillion, right? So my thing is, I don't mind Mark Cuban standing up for Kamala. If you ask me, that is going to be actually something that goes against him for future business. Because I believe that Trump is going to put him in jail, like they're calling for Trump, and they're calling for Trump and Elon to be put in jail. Like what's that? The Keith Olbermann guy, the guy with the really fucking thick glasses, the bitch. Keith Olbermann. He's calling for Elon Musk and Donald Trump to have all their assets seized to be thrown in jail for doing nothing but opposing Kamala Harris. I'm also going to state one more time, we're at a stage in society where there is no middle ground with somebody like that, right? Like there's no middle ground. Like you're calling for basically totalitarianism. You're calling for these people to be punished because of wrongthink. And that to me is an extremely dangerous thing. But what's this? I want to know what scared 70-year-old billionaire Seinfeld to go back on saying comedy should be free. I mean, probably something dealing with Epstein or Diddy, I would imagine. Like that's where I think a lot of these people are coming from. Like I think that's like Lizzo was out just recently, like saying that she voted for Harris, and I expected her to do so, but to do so publicly, it kind of is also a little funny to me that like, somebody accused of basically forcing their employees to eat bananas out of the vaginas of sex workers is like, endorsing Kamala Harris, and everybody's like, oh, Lizzo did it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy she's lost 100 pounds. I hope she loses the other fucking 100 pounds she still needs to lose. Everybody's like, oh, she's so healthy now and so thin. She's morbidly fucking obese still. Get a grip, people. I know that the world's fat as fuck, and I get that, but she's still fat as fuck herself. I hope she loses the rest of it. Truly do. But my thought on it is just like, I really wish that people could understand that whoever endorses anybody at this stage is not changing anybody's fucking mind. The only thing I did see a few people that changed their mind about after the Fox News interview. We live in like this dual reality, and this is a problem. The very second that the left started talking about their truth or your truth, because there is no your truth. There is no this is my truth. No, there's the truth. There's facts and shit. And I just think that we've gotten so far down the rabbit hole with a lot of this stuff that we need to get back to the truth. Because if we have two separate realities going on, if one reality has it where a dude that has a beard can just say he's a woman and go into a women's restroom and expect not to get beat the fuck down if my wife is in there, that's not a reality that actually exists. Because if my wife is in there and a dude has a beard and just identifies as a woman and follows my wife in, he's going to get beat the fuck down. I mean, that's the truth. That's the reality. And I'll go to jail and smile in my mugshot. Traditionally masculine. Bring it back, motherfuckers. Bring it back. Every husband should say that. Every husband should do that. If you are married and your wife goes to go into a public restroom and you see a dude with a beard following behind her into the restroom and you don't stop him, and if he resists, beat his fucking ass, you're not a man. You're some bitch. And I'm sorry if that upsets people. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit at all whatsoever. That's not in any way how like life is going to go. There is the truth. Like the truth was a cold virus was used to leverage all of society into giving up more rights than we had already had taken away from us. So they could then, close small businesses, impoverish the people, sicken an entire generation of people, cause cognitive deficits, learning deficits, cause basically the entire population to get fatter when the high-risk group was elderly people and fat people. Like, that's the truth. Like, that's the truth. The truth is there was never even justification for a state of emergency. And I could debate this with anybody and win, as long as we stuck to the truth, right? Because it's, as long as we have people be like, well, you're just wrong because you voted for this person, or you're just wrong because we voted for that person, then we get nowhere. Like we have to, people need to decide. I'm all for us splitting the country up and having the federal government being diminished down to, they're going to protect our border, they're going to provide common defense for the United States, and they're going to protect our rights. And then let people live in whatever state they want to, and the only actual law is the states, and you get to choose where you live, right? I'm all for that. But if we can't do that, maybe it's time we just completely split, because we can't continue where we're at. There's not a mutual ground. Like, you can't have people that want you jailed for words you say online that are your opinion, or that want it so you can't even have an opinion online about certain topics such as the jab, the vid, the elections, those sorts of things. Like, if the government feels that they can silence you, that's one thing. Like, that's never acceptable. But it's also, if you are a person that believes that people should not be able to have free speech online, you're not really an American. You may have been born here and you're a citizen. I honor you as a citizen, but you don't really understand what America was made of. You don't understand the privileges you have by being born in this country and what they're supposed to be. And the sad part about that is that makes you so fucking stupid that you don't realize that eventually that will turn on you, right? Because, dear people on the left, if everybody gets silenced that you want silenced, if everybody on the right gets silenced, put in jail, re-education camps, they're literally talking about this. They're literally talking about re-education camps again. Like, if you want that and don't realize that eventually it's going to turn its head on you, you are super fucking stupid. Like, super fucking stupid. But I should accept this because, again, unpopular opinion, but one I think that could be scientifically proven. America for the whole right now is pretty fucking stupid. Like, the people of America are pretty fucking stupid. And a lot of it is biological, and a lot of it is environmental. A lot of it is the listening to the propaganda that we've been trained to listen to since we were little. Like, believe the news, believe your doctor, believe these people. Why? Prove to me that it's supposed to be. And everybody should be like that. Everybody should be. Like, watching the news, watching the Fox News thing with Kamala Harris just goes to show you how used to propaganda they are. Like Kamala Harris truly just had talking points that revolved around Orange Man bad. Like, it was literally like Orange Man bad. Well, let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump. I think that Trump talks about Kamala too much and talks about Biden too much. Talk about what you're going to fucking do, bro. I mean, you got the stage, and don't get me wrong, he does a much better job than the left, but let's not worry about what the fuck they say. Let's worry about what we're going to do, right? Excuse me. But we just need to get there, like, because who gives a fuck if Mark Cuban endorses Kamala Harris? He's doing it for self-interest. If you don't think that every Hollywood star that has come out and endorsed endorsed somebody from the left is literally because they don't want their name mentioned in a Diddy tape, an Epstein tape, or they want to stay famous, you're a fucking idiot. The mainstream media and Hollywood is a completely left-wing like propaganda engine, and everybody kind of knows it. Everybody kind of knows it, to the point when anybody deviates outside of it, like Randy Quaid or anything like that, they immediately try to cancel them from being able to work anywhere. It's gotten a lot better because I think that these companies realize that that shit's not going to fly. They're just not going to be able to keep doing that, you know? But they're going to keep pushing. Shit, the European Union is talking about trying to bankrupt Elon Musk by finding all of his companies, X, everything, SpaceX, all these. They're going to find all these companies, literally because he is just Elon Musk and he's supporting Trump. It's amazing that people don't see this way. I will say it every day until people start listening. We are already at war with this authoritarian takeover, with this group of authoritarians that is trying to take over the globe. We are already at war. People just don't realize we are. They are trying to take our rights. They've done a good job of eating away at them. If we didn't have the Constitution and if we didn't have the Second Amendment, we would definitely be in the same spot that other countries are in right now, where they're just trying to run over the citizens of these other countries. And that's why for us, they needed to do it through propaganda, and they needed to do it through, decades of educating our children not to even know what the fucking Constitution is. Like, imagine that. Like, how do children graduate from fucking grade school and not understand what the Constitution is and what it means? How does that even happen? Because I don't give a fuck what you say. Say the Pledge of Allegiance to the goddamn flag in your schools. You are in America. You are one of the most privileged people on the fucking planet, whether you realize it or not. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your race is. I don't care what your heritage is. If you are an American citizen, you are one of the most privileged people on the fucking planet. To even try to dare say that you are marginalized or oppressed in America makes you look fucking stupid. Now, do I think that there is some systemic shit from our past that maybe is a problem that we have addressed? We have addressed this shit. I know. But this happened hundreds of years ago, and I didn't get a head start. What the fuck is going on now? We've had it, like, all that shit is over. The very second that a black president got elected, the very second that we've had women be nominated, there would be a woman president by now if the only nominees weren't completely fucking crap nominees. Kamala Harris is a horrible nominee. If you're a woman, you should not want her to be the first woman president. You get that, right? Like, it is not even a debate whether she has been like with like it, the shitty, slutty shit she's done. And I'm not going to slut shame her because you do you, Kamala. Suck whatever dick you want to. I don't give a fuck. But it's reality. But also, fucking Hillary Clinton, she's objectively one of the most horrible people on the planet, and she's fucking the family she's from is one of the fucking families that fucks up the world. It's insane to me, like completely nuts. That I don't even understand why we have these arguments. But I don't give a fuck what celebrities endorse Trump or endorse Kamala. I don't give a fuck what TV stars endorse either of them. I don't give a fuck. I want to know your policies, and I mean this from like my absolute being. If the left had good policies, I'd vote for them. I wouldn't give a fuck what people said about me. But I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to cast my vote for a political party whose platform involves diminishing free speech, mandatory gun buybacks. These are things that this woman has said. A political organization that has literally opened our borders when the federal government's main job is to protect our sovereignty and our borders. I would never vote for that. Like, people, it's not that I wouldn't vote for Trump, especially now that he's aligned with RFK, but there's no way I'm not. There's no way I wouldn't because of that. None. I'm not. I would never, ever, ever like vote for somebody that's campaigning on taking my rights away. Like, you're dumb. You're a fucking moron. Like, I mean, you're actually voting to have your rights taken away. Like, that's ridiculous. Just go lock yourself in your house then, and don't speak to anybody. Like, put yourself in your own imprisonment instead of fucking up the world for the rest of us. So beyond that, I wanted to talk about just a few other things. Here's this one I wanted to talk about. This is why I yelled. So This comes from the Mirror, and it says avoiding ultra-processed foods could mean people eat even less healthily. Ultra-processed foods, which include items like ice cream, processed meats, crisps, mass-produced breads, some breakfast cereals, shut the fuck up, biscuits, and fizzy drinks, soda, have been associated with poor health outcomes. They absolutely have. But if you want to look at how this article goes, I have it here for us, so we'll look at it right now. And here we go. Warnings to avoid ultra-processed foods, UPFs, could potentially lead to even unhealthier eating habits, according to researchers. What are their fucking names? Like, literally, what are their fucking names? Two experts from the University of Aberdeen in Liverpool, what are their names? Argued that research on UPFs is still in early stages and more information is needed before advising people to stop consuming them. No, they're not. All right. There was a 20-year study done in Brazil on people that ate 20% of their total daily caloric intake from ultra-processed foods. 20%. Mind you, the American average is closer to 70% daily in ultra-processed foods. But in Brazil, they did a study. It was like 20 to 40,000 people, I believe. And it was from 6 to 10 years, with the mean average being 8 years. And they studied people that ate 20% ultra-processed foods. Those people showed a 28% increased decline in cognitive function and a 25% increased decline in executive function of the brain. That is massively statistically significant. And that is off 20%. It is not even a question that ultra-processed foods react in the body differently than regular actual fucking food. They shouldn't even be called foods. They should be called ultra-food-like products, because it's not food. Food comes from the ground or animals. It grows. Ultra-processed foods are barely food and then a bunch of chemicals added. It's just kind of sad. And for them to say we should study more before we say stop consuming them. Why don't we err on the side of caution and stop consuming them, and then you bitches prove that they're safe? I think that would be a much better way. You bitches prove that they're safe first, and then we can advise people to eat them. Maybe we should, I don't know, because since we've started having ultra-processed foods, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, liver dysfunction, kidney disease, osteoarthritis, mental illness has skyrocketed. You can literally tell when the food pyramid was introduced in America, right at that point was when the diseases, the chronic illnesses started to fucking skyrocket. I'm sorry, just because we don't study it because they want to sell you this shit does not mean that we don't understand that this is unfucking healthy for us. Like, to try to say we need more study. We don't need more study to find out if something that is clearly bad for us is bad for us, you bitches. It's so fucking ridiculous. UPFs, which include items like ice cream, processed meats, crisps, mass-produced breads, some breakfast cereals, biscuits, and fizzy drinks, have been associated with poor health outcomes, such as increased risk of obesity, heart disease, cancer, and premature death. These foods often contain high levels of saturated fat, salt, sugar, and additives, which, by the way, the additives are petroleum. Just so everybody knows. Like, food dyes, stuff like that, that stuff is petroleum-based. It comes from the ground. If you want to save the planet, if you don't think we should be using fossil fuels, you would not eat these things. If you love the planet, you would never, ever, ever eat anything with food dye in it ever fucking again. Ever. UPFs also tend to include additives and ingredients not typically used in home cooking, such as preservatives, emulsifiers, and artificial colors and flavors. One more time, petroleum. However, some experts question whether the link between UPFs and poor health is due to processing additives or because people who consume them tend to eat less nutritious other foods. One more time, it is not food. They're food-like products. Secondly, so these people are normally getting all their calories to stay fat as fuck from ultra-processed foods, and you're saying that they should eat more nutritious foods. In a new article published by PLOS Medicine, experts argued that those less well off could be most affected. Oh, here we go. You got to go with it'll negatively affect poor people. You know what really negatively affects poor people? Having their foot cut off from type 2 diabetes. That's a pretty negative aspect to happen to a poor person. It doesn't help them, climb out of poverty when they don't have a foot to climb on. Just going to say that. You know what's really bad on poor people? Heart attacks. Heart attacks are not good on poor people. They're just not. They miss work and shit like that, and that's not a good thing. You know what's even worse for poor people? Cognitive dysfunction, mental illness, those sorts of things. That's just not good. Being super, super depressed and poor is a lot worse than being super, super depressed and rich. Just going to say that right off the bat. And we're trying to pretend that if they're poor, they can't change their life station. Well, when they're morbidly obese, have cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes, and they're on 25 different medications that still cost them money, and they miss work and shit like that, we're going to try to say that this isn't a problem. Like these type of articles that try to get you like, oh, ultra processed foods aren't that bad. Don't make sure to, bow down to the god of big food. So then you can bow down to the main god of big pharma, because that's what this is about. They want you fat, sick, weak, and dependent upon pharma. If articles like this don't show you, it's insane. Let's see. Professor Eric Robinson from the University of Liverpool, who co-authored the study, has warned against the dangers of ultra-processed foods. Good. He cautioned food class as ultra-processed, which are high in fat, salt, and sugar, should be avoided. But the number of ultra-processed foods are not. We should be thinking very carefully about what advice is being given to the public, as opposed to providing simplified and potentially misleading messages that grab headlines. You mean like this article saying that ultra-processed foods might not be that bad for you? Like those words, misleading headlines, came from the article that is labeled with a misleading headline. We don't hate the media enough. We don't hate the media enough. We seriously don't. The study highlights the social cost for many people with more limited resources. Yes. So they can't get beans and rice, apparently, because beans and rice are cheap as fuck. If you are poor, I don't want to hear shit unless you're eating beans and rice every day. I know, oh, they don't get any variety. No, you're poor. Like, that's another thing. That's getting back to what I said earlier, where Americans live in the most privileged fucking country ever, because even our poor people get choices of food. Like, poor people from other countries are happy to get food. We have the ridiculousness of this is they're talking about people with limited resources trying to avoid obesity. How? Come on. Like, how stupid is that? People with limited resources in other countries have no problem avoiding obesity. None. Zero problems avoiding obesity. People from actually impoverished nations, actual fucking poor people, don't have any problem avoiding obesity at all whatsoever. That is the poor people of Western countries like UK and America mostly. Because to think that poor people with limited resources need to eat this wide variety of food is insane. And the only reason why these foods are less expensive by volume, not by calorie. It is actually less expensive to cook all your own food from whole ingredients, fish, meat, beef, chicken, rice, beans, vegetables from a garden, anything like that, local farmer. It's much less expensive to eat that way because you can spend the same amount of money on less calories and be healthier and not fat as fuck. I do this for a living. So before anybody gets beefy about it, I do this for a fucking living, right? When it comes to the weight loss thing and nutrition and stuff like that, that's my bread and butter. But to think that we're trying to say that oh, this will impact poor people. How about this? Instead of subsidizing wheat and whole grain, the grain industry, the wheat industry, and the sugar industry, how about we take those anywhere from $5 to $10 billion a year that it's subsidized in America, and we take those subsidies and we actually, I don't know, give that to local farmers and make it so their costs go down. So vegetables, fruits, beef, chicken, fish, the price of all that drops dramatically instead of having all the ultra processed foods be the foods that are less expensive, how about we have the healthy foods be less expensive and the unhealthy foods be much more expensive? Shit, I'm all for a 25% tax on ultra processed foods also, after we remove the subsidies, to almost price it out. Because if you want to eat something unhealthy for you, then we can even take that 25% tax that we put directly on ultra processed foods, and all that money can go to subsidize local family-owned farms even more. How about that? It's not that difficult, people. It's not that difficult to understand that we subsidize the ultra processed foods in America, and we're sick as fuck. If we subsidized the farmers, local family-owned farmers instead, regional farmers that can do produce the food and meat and stuff like that for the entire region of the area, we subsidize them and make it so they can produce goods, services, and food at a very low cost, because we are helping to subsidize them instead of us sending our taxpayer money to these large corporations that are not even in the area. Because you know what this does? Now we're subsidizing local farms, and that money goes into the actual area of the United States around that locally owned farm, that family owned farm. And then people from around that area buy from that locally owned farm. So then the money stays in your community instead of the money going to McDonald's Corporation across overseas, international companies. Like, the idea is the money we fucking earn, the money we fucking spend should be spent in our communities, in our country. Instead, we have multinational companies like Nestle and all these things that are all owned by BlackRock and stuff like that. If we want to escape the corporate takeover, we will stop literally giving them our money to make it so their products can be cheaper. So then we try to buy the cheap products first and make ourselves sicker, so then pharma can make its money. Like, this is not something that is this is a very easy concept. It's hard to do because, basically our entire government is owned by the food and the pharmaceutical industry, but this is an easy concept. Stop making it super cheap for ultra processed foods to be sold because we subsidize it with taxpayer money. Instead, we take those subsidies away, we put a 25% tax on it, and then all that money, the subsidy money and the tax money, goes towards local family-owned farms to invest in our community and our citizens. That would make a huge fucking difference, but that would require our government to actually be for the citizens and not for the corporations. I can just fucking call it a day on that shit. I really can. I have talked about this multiple times before, and I just don't even understand why this is not even, it should enrage everybody. It should enrage everybody that this is how we do this. That we spend our money, our taxpayer money, to subsidize large ass corporations that then rake in billions of dollars in profit. Like, we're subsidizing an industry by billions of dollars, industries, like between the grain industry and the sugar industry, we're subsidizing them by billions of fucking dollars. And then they're still making billions of dollars of profit. So we're handing them profit, basically, when local farmers go out of business every fucking day. Think about it. Just once. Just think about it a little bit. Just a tiny, tiny little bit. Just think about it. I know critical thinking was the most tragic death from COVID. It was actually the first death from COVID was critical thinking and logic. COVID just killed that shit real fucking quick. But maybe we can resuscitate it and start using it here in this next year or so to try to, save local farmers and the entire country. But that is just the propaganda that they're giving us. Is they're trying to make it so we we don't think that ultra processed foods are bad. Like, get the fuck out of here, right? I'll debate anybody on this. Anybody. Ultra processed foods are a huge reason why we have such a problem with chronic illness and disease, and everybody goddamn knows it. Everybody goddamn knows it. And these are the foods that we subsidize in high amounts with our money. And I say we, it's not we, because I don't think Americans would choose to subsidize companies that still, we're giving them billions of dollars of profit. because they're still making profit. We're just giving them billions of dollars when farmers are going out of business. Make it make sense, because it absolutely makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. Anyway, one more thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm gonna run for the night. But this, actually, two more things we're going to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Grady Judd.
First, I want you to see this chart. 25 illegal immigrants were arrested in this operation. They were from Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. 16% of these total arrests were people who should not even have been in this country, but they were here. And they were here because we have a federal government that enabled these criminals to come into the country and then treated them very well after the criminals came here illegally. So let me share a story with you, and then I'm going to read a quote for you and then let you see a video. The prostitutes that came here, several of them had to pay off a coyote debt. Some of them said, hey, we did it because it was easy money. Others said, well, we came here and we were illegal. We couldn't get employment, so we turned to prostitution. Some of them said, we were threatened and our family was threatened if we did not prostitute for the coyotes or for the human traffickers. So I'm going to tell you one story about one of our suspects, Maria, and that's not her real name. She's from Venezuela. She made a conscious decision to come to this country to commit crime. She flew into Mexico from Venezuela. She walked across from Juarez, Mexico, into El Paso, Texas.
So think about that. I mean, just real quick, let's just think about that. They're coming here literally to commit crime. 100% deportation of any illegal and their children. Their children are citizens. If they're born here, they can come back when they're 18 and can support themselves. Or their parents can sign away their parental rights. One or the other. But if you came in this country illegally, you don't get to fucking stay. At all, whatsoever. Do you know what happens to people that enter other countries illegally and then commit crime? They dead. Like quickly. Like within minutes, normally. It's just crazy and insane that we go about this. This has got to stop. You know, people, we are getting short time before the election, a little over 2 weeks. It is going to be crazy, just like I've been saying. It's going to keep getting crazier. And I just really hope that Trump can make it big enough to beat the cheat. Because just as you heard me earlier, I don't think Trump's our savior, but he will buy us time where we, the people, can then institute what we need to do and hold him accountable to fix all this bullshit that's fucked up. Because what's happening in America right now is unfucking acceptable. Just absolutely unacceptable. Now I'm going to call it a little early so I can go like unplug from all of this madness. I will be back probably tomorrow just for a little quick one during the day, some fun stuff maybe. Me and Mark might come on and just so we can do some stuff just to laugh. I hope to see you guys then. My name is Alan Roberts. Thank you very much. Evening Rants. God damn.
Ladies, come here. If you want to burn body fat, not just a little bit, but a lot, I got the perfect stack for you. It's 3 products. Ember, which is a powerful thermogenic that you take in the morning, suppresses your appetite to a degree, and it raises your metabolic rate and have you burning calories all day long. Alchemy. What Alchemy is going to do is it allows you to eat those carbs in your meal guilt-free. It's going to take those carbs and burn it off as fuel, so you have plenty of energy throughout the day. Before you go to bed, you're going to take no morbidity. It's the best part of the stack because while you sleep, a deep, restful sleep, it's going to be burning calories, burning fat all night long. So you're going to wake up not feeling groggy, feeling refreshed, ready to go about your day. So we got you covered all day long. This is called the Holy Trinity Stack. And ladies, it's for y'all, for the queens.